Hello Fude friends. In this video I will be sharing my top 10 favorite squirrel cheek brushes. I also have an exciting announcement, which is that I am introducing a softness survey in each of my videos where everyone can share their feedback regarding the softness of the brushes featured in the video if they have them. This is an attempt to gather information on the softness of brushes from everyone's shared experiences. It is intended as a resource for everyone, and everyone has access to the results, regardless of whether or not you complete the survey. Please leave it blank and submit the survey blank if you don't have any of the brushes. This will then take you directly to where the survey results are. You can find a link to the survey below. I also want to apologize in advance because I can already tell this is going to be a long video. I want to be thorough in explaining squirrel brushes because this is my first video dedicated to this topic, and a lot of my viewers have commented that they enjoy learning about Fude. If you already have a good understanding of squirrel brushes, please skip ahead to the actual brush overviews using the timestamps below. In this video, I will use the term cheek brushes for all of these brushes because they are primarily used to apply cheek products. However, this does not mean just blush. It also means highlight, bronzer, and even all over face products or powdering in targeted areas. Cheek brushes are actually very multi-purpose, and you can use them however you would like. For me specifically, I use these mostly for blush and bronzer. Where they are not multi-purpose, however, is with regards to the products. Squirrel brushes should really only be used with powder products and ideally not over a very tacky surface, as this can be damaging to the fragile hairs. So quick squirrel brushes 101. For me, the major cons are that you are limited to only powder products. The price also tends to be significantly higher compared to goat, especially for face brushes. They will require special care because these delicate hairs need extra care during cleaning and use. Again, for instance, not putting in contact with an extremely dewy base. And the finish is going to be more on the subtle side. It will not give you a very pigmented application, so if you're looking for pigment payoff, you might be better off using a different hair type, such as goat. Now the pros. The pros is that they are ideal for subtle makeup application, for instance, everyday wear, natural looks. They will have the softest bristles, which makes these ideal for sensitive skin types or a more indulgent and luxurious makeup experience, if that is what you're seeking. The characteristics of squirrel hair being that they're very fine, very soft, very flexible, and they really bend to the contours of the face with little pressure, means that the application is effortlessly blended and refined. What I enjoy most about squirrel brushes is that I don't have to worry about being heavy-handed, which is why I enjoy them for small and medium-sized face brushes to use for instance, blush and bronzer without having to worry about a very heavy and harsh application of those products. Lastly, I'm going to touch on the fact that there are various types of squirrel hair types. There's Canadian squirrel, red squirrel, white Canadian squirrel, the list goes on, but most of the brushes that I have selected are gray/blue squirrel, and those perform basically the same. Because of this, I'm not going to go into the details of different squirrel types, and I'm also not going to go too much into the details of different functions between the brushes if the shapes are similar, just because I don't want to be overly redundant in this video. So let's get started. I'm going to go over the details of each brush. I'm going to start from the least to most expensive, and if I believe a brush stands out or is a top pick for various categories, I will note that throughout. First on my list is the Goss airbrush. This brush retails for $35 and it is made of blue squirrel hairs. The shape is flat, paddle-like, and almond shape. And I would say this would be on the small size for a cheek brush. It has a black glossy handle And what's noteworthy about this brush is that it is very multi-purpose. You can use it for blush, highlight, also subtle bronzer. If you travel, you can use it for all of these cheek products, and I have done that before, just wiping the brush down in between uses. The brush is also very highly praised. It's been around for a long time. Many people own it and have shared their positive feedback on this brush. And lastly, the price. This is the lowest end of the price range. It's a good value for a Squirrel brush, and because of all of these factors, I have awarded it the best introduction to Squirrel brushes because of the price, because of Beautylicious strong customer service, and if you're in the US, you can get free shipping and return shipping should you end up needing it. So for me, I think this is a great starting point for someone who is new to Squirrel brushes, who wants to see how they feel, how they apply powders. This is a great place to start. And tying it back to the softness survey I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I would rank this one a 3 being average and what I would expect from a Squirrel brush. Moving on, I have the Chikuhodo RC2. And this one retails for $46 depending on the yen conversion at the time. This one is gray squirrel. The shape is round, and it is of small to medium size. Completely round ferrule. And I'm going to put it next to the Sonia G Base 2 as a size comparison. The Sonia G is a tad bit smaller. The handle comes in either red or black, and this is from the Chikuhodo regular series, which may make you think that the handle is going to be of lower quality. I don't think it is. I think the handle is actually very well made and has a nice weight, and it has a slightly glossy finish. What's noteworthy about this brush is that the bundling is very, very superb. It appears to be very well made despite the lower price range, and it's one of the softest brushes I will mention today. I would say it is softer than the Wayne Goss one that I just talked about, and on the softness rating, I would give this one a 4, meaning above average. I would like to award this brush the best value brush. It is a good size for being 100% Squirrel brush, and for $46 with a nice handle, it is of good value, especially when we compare it to some of the other brushes that I will be talking about later in this video. Next up, I have the Hakuhodo GC6, and these ones are not labeled on the handle, so I make labels for them so I can keep track of what they are. It will look nicer when you don't have that white tape. This one retails for $60, and I pulled this one out just as a comparison to the Chikuhodo RC2 because they are very similar. I would actually recommend the Chikuhodo one because it is a little less expensive, but that's another good one that I do use regularly. But let's move on to my third pick, which is this Chikuhodo Cheek Portable handle with a Mackie handle, and it's also known as the MK12. This one retails for $50. This one is actually a mixed hair type of squirrel and horse. So this one is not going to be as soft as the RC2. It's also smaller than the RC2. Also has that round ferrule. So likewise, the Chikuhodo one is going to be smaller than the Sonia G one. The con here is that because it's on the smaller side, some people may find it difficult to use as a cheek brush. However, I really enjoy using this brush for contouring and bronzing underneath the cheekbone, very precise bronzing. I will admit it's not the most functional, but what it lacks in function, it makes up in design. I selected this brush because of this portable and unique design with a beautiful handle. How it works is that the cap slides off and you can close it, throw it in your purse, travel with it if you would like. The bottom is also flat, so you can display them on a vanity. And I do think this is more of a collector's item brush. And you can currently find it on Beautylish. They have different designs on them, which are limited edition, but they're all beautiful. And this one is one of my favorite because of how unique it is, the portability, beautiful handle, but absolutely more of a collector's item. And I would recommend the two I mentioned earlier, the Goss, the Chikuhodo, before this one, for purely practical and functional purposes. In softness rating, using the scale from the survey, I would give this one a 2 because it is below average, and that is to be expected given it has mixed bristles. Next up is this one is from the Kumanofude Select Shop, and it's the number 2-2. This one retails for $65, plus you need to build in the costs of ordering and shipping from Japan. This one is a squirrel, and the shape of this one I really enjoy. It's very similar to the RC2, so it has a completely round ferrule. It's slightly larger, and I would say slightly denser than the RC2. So if you have the RC2 and you want to add to that collection, I can't recommend this one enough. It also has a red handle. The handle on this one is matte, does not have the glossy finish, and it's cute. It says natural hair ends are used across the brush to remind you of that, and then the branding is there too. And this one is of medium to large size. Put it next to the RC2 again. I have not come across this shape, the round all squirrel brush, and this size, which is one of the reasons I really enjoy it. I'll also put it next to the Sonia G Phase 2. It's much bigger. I finished filming and then I realized there was one more brush I wanted to compare this one to, and that is the Sonia G Soft Cheek. They both have a round ferrule. The Sonia G ferrule is slightly smaller, but the brush heads are a similar size and shape. So if you have the Sonia G one and wanted to get a similar brush in squirrel bristles, I would recommend the Select Shop one. So I really enjoy this one for bronzer and targeted powder application because it is so soft, yet it's very functional shape and density, allows you to really work in and buff in the products. Next up, I have one from the same brand as earlier, the Hakuhodo GC2. We're getting up in price. This one retails for $69. The shape of this one is a pinched ferrule, finally. Not talking about a round brush. So this one has a pinched ferrule. It's more paddle shape. It's flat. You will need to use it in sweeping motions. This one is medium to larger size for a cheek brush, and you can also use this for all over face powder because it could classify as a smaller size powder brush. And then you can also use it on the tip for highlight, and you can use it on the sides to go across your cheeks. What's noteworthy about this one is that I believe the brand is quite underrated and doesn't get the attention it deserves. You don't really hear many people talking about it, but I think they are reasonably priced. Their brushes are very well made, and all of the brushes I have purchased from this brand have met or exceeded my expectations. The hair is also very soft. They're nicely bundled. The handle I think is elegant. It reminds me of the Hakuhodo S series with a glossy black handle and a gold ferrule, plus it has a good weight. I will note that the handles tend to be on the shorter side, so here it is next to the Sonia G one. Some people don't like that. doesn't really bother me with this brush. And the price, I'll touch on that again. This one is just shy of $70. We'll compare it to other brushes later on. But for instance, if you compare it to the Chikuhodo Z8, which is a similar hair size, the Chikuhodo one is well over $100 despite having similar bristle sizes and shapes. Moving on, I'm going to speak about the Chikuhodo Z4. This one is labeled as a cheek and highlight brush. They're not labeled by their numbering, so again, that's why I have the tape there. And the Chikuhodo Z4 retails for $73. It is a medium-sized cheek brush. It has an oval shape, again, ideal for blush and cheek products and more of the paddle swiping motions. You can also use the top of it and the sides of it for highlighter bronzer. Overall, this is a very, very multi-purpose shape, size, and brush. So I selected this brush because it's one of my favorite shapes and very reliable. You get a very classic cheek shape that is also very easy to use. It's also well regarded and positively reviewed by many from the Chikuhodo Z series. It's also very elegant with the minimalist and glossy black handle. And I will compare it to the Z8 just because the Z8 is its bigger version of it, has a similar shape, just slightly bigger. What's interesting about these is that my Z4, so this one, is actually a tad bit less soft than my Z8. I don't know if that's true across all of the brushes or if I just got an extra soft Z8. I don't know, but I would rank the Z4 a 3, being average to be expected from Squirrel bristles, and my Z8 I would rate above average with a 4. Let's move on to the Chikuhodo powder portable, the MK11. So this would be part of this portable set that I showed earlier. Also has the cap to travel with them, and I like to display them because I find them to be quite elegant. But this one retails for $78. This one is also a mixed hair type of Squirrel and Chikuhodo goat, so you can think about it as a good middle ground between Squirrel and goat. The shape is round, medium density, size I would say is medium to large. It's actually described as a powder brush, but I think it's on the smaller side of the powder brushes, so I actually use this primarily as a cheek brush, and I'll show it to you again next to the Z8 because they're very comparable in size, and the Z8 is labeled as a cheek brush. But either way, you can use it for powder or cheek products. And again, I selected this one because I find it to be very beautiful. It has a unique shape, but yes, think about it more as a collector's item over a purely functional purchase. We're getting down to the last few, very exciting. This is one of my favorite brushes. This is the Takeda cheek brush. It has a very long product number, which I will just list below. And this one retails for $95 plus the costs of shipping from abroad. So do expect to add a good $15, if not $20 to that. The shape is the same as the Z4. Very similar shape, very similar size. So by now I'm sure you can tell how much I love this shape and size. What's noteworthy about this one is how soft it is. So this is the softest brush out of all of the cheek brushes I am discussing in this video, and probably my entire collection. I would give this one the award for the #1 in softness. So if you're looking for the softest brushes and they are within your budget, you might want to look into this brand. I have other brushes from them, and I do think that their hair quality is some of the softest and just nicest bristles out there. And of the softness rating, I would give this one a 5 out of all the ones I'm speaking about today. This is the only one I gave a 5 to. Moving on, this one can now get its dedicated appearance. This is the Chikuhodo Z8. This is listed as a cheek brush. It retails for $101. It is quite dense, has an oval shape. This is on the large side for a cheek brush, the largest I would use for a cheek brush. You can also use it for powder. And if you like the Z4 and want the bigger version of it, this is a good option, or vice versa. If you have this one and want a smaller version, look at the Z4. I selected this one again because it has a good reputation. It has a classic shape. It's very multi-purpose. I use this mostly for bronzer, all over powder. And because it is more dense, it tends to pick up powders a little better. Softness rating, I already mentioned that mine's very soft. I would say above average. I gave this one a 4. And now on to the last brush, which is a Koyudo or Kihitsu. Koyudo makes the brushes for Kihitsu, and then they market it either under Koyudo or Kihitsu. But anyways, this is the Koyudo White Canadian Squirrel Cheek Brush. And this one retails for $200. The hair type is White Canadian Squirrel, which is considered to be a rare and luxurious hair type. The shape of this one is oval with a slightly pinched ferrule. It's also near identical in shape and size to the Z4. So if you're interested in these premium brushes, I would recommend testing out the shape first with perhaps the Z4 to see if this is a good brush that will work for you, because those two brushes are a good comparison for size and shape. The softness rating for this one is above average, somewhere between a 4 and a 5, and I selected this brush because it truly is a very special brush, but it's not one I would recommend to others due to the price unless they knew what to expect. So what can you expect? You can expect a rare and unique hair type. White Canadian Squirrel is very, very soft. It's also slightly better at picking up and depositing color, which is why people like it. It's a slight variation to how squirrel brushes perform. Slight being the key word, because if I were to use this brush on half of my face and the Z4 on the other half of my face, the results would be the same. So you are paying for the art and the skilled work behind it. The handle is a piece of art. It's handmade and hand-drawn lacquer from an artisan. So this one I would award, this one and all the brushes in this series, I would reward as being very collectible and the one-of-a-kind brushes. You really need to think about these brushes as if you're purchasing a piece of art and a fine collector's item. So there you have it. These are my favorite squirrel cheek brushes. In the future, I will be making more videos of this form with other hair types and other brush types. So please subscribe to be notified of future videos. And if you have any questions on the survey, please comment below. I will get back to you ASAP. And as always, thank you very much for watching.